The idea that Earth could be a cosmic prison is not merely science fiction. It's a hypothesis that tickles the edges of philosophy, ethics, and our understanding of advanced civilizations. To fully appreciate this concept, we must question our place in the universe and examine our nature and limitations. Imagine a universe filled with civilizations so advanced that they have not only mastered space travel, but also ethical dilemmas and social structures on a cosmic scale. These civilizations could conceivably create a prison for those deemed dangerous or undesirable. Earth, in this context, could be one such prison. What would make Earth a perfect prison? Its isolation in space, the limitations of human biology, and the barriers to interstellar travel could all be carefully engineered constraints. Our environment sustains us, but also contains us. Diseases, natural disasters, and the vastness of space could all be mechanisms that keep us in check. The imprisonment might not just be physical. Limitations on our intellectual growth and spiritual understanding could also be part of this cosmic incarceration. This aspect of the theory suggests that our understanding of the universe is intentionally limited, keeping us from uncovering the true nature of our existence. Understanding why humans might be imprisoned requires a philosophical leap. Were we once part of an advanced civilization that fell from grace? Are we being quarantined for the protection of other beings? Or perhaps we are an experiment observed for some unknown purpose. Subtle hints or artifacts could be hidden within our planet or even within our DNA, waiting to be discovered. These might be clues left by our cosmic jailers, messages or warnings to guide or control our development. The concept of the Panopticon was first brought to light by the philosopher Jeremy Bentham in the late 18th century. A panopticon is a circular prison where inmates are under constant surveillance from a central watchtower, yet they can't see when they are being watched. This unique design was intended to control behavior through the fear of constant observation. Applying this idea to the entire universe, or our place in it, offers an intriguing lens through which to explore the notion of Earth as an alien prison. If Earth were a prison, the Panopticon model suggests that there might be constant surveillance from a cosmic standpoint. Unlike a physical watchtower, this cosmic panopticon might employ advanced technologies or even metaphysical mechanisms that we can't comprehend. The watchful eyes of a higher civilization could be monitoring our every move, every thought, even our spiritual evolution. The most potent effect of a panopticon is the psychological control it exerts. Inmates, unsure of when they are being watched, regulate their own behavior as though they are always under observation. If we extrapolate this concept to a cosmic level, it could mean that our very thoughts, behaviors, and cultural development are being shaped or limited by unseen observers. The mysteries of human consciousness and our search for meaning might be influenced by this invisible presence. A panopticon on a cosmic scale could imply not only psychological but technological control. Limitations on our scientific advancements could be deliberately engineered to keep us confined to Earth. Every time humanity approaches a breakthrough that might lead to interstellar travel or deeper understanding of the universe, unseen forces could subtly guide us away or create barriers to our progress. Who would be the watchers in this cosmic panopticon? Are they gods, aliens, or something beyond our understanding? Are they benevolent, guiding us toward enlightenment at a pace we can handle? Or are they malevolent, suppressing us for reasons we can't fathom? Subtle clues to the existence of a cosmic panopticon might exist in ancient texts, mysterious phenomena, or even within our own psychology. The universal religious themes of omniscient deities, spiritual tests, and cosmic judgment may not be mere products of human imagination, but echoes of a grander truth. As we look at the history of human civilization, we can see an astounding progression of technological and social achievements. However, it's also possible to identify certain constraints or barriers that seem to hinder our advancement. Could these limitations be part of a designed system to contain humanity within a specific framework? In exploring the Earth as a prison hypothesis, we must examine these constraints and consider whether they may be deliberate manipulations by an external force. From fire to the wheel, from steam power to quantum computing, our technological advancements have been rapid and significant, yet there remain specific challenges and barriers that seem to elude us. The lack of significant progress in areas like fusion energy, faster than light travel, or even fully understanding our own brains raises questions. Are we hitting our natural limits? Or is there a force preventing us from making these groundbreaking discoveries? Historically, we've seen the rise and fall of empires, revolutions, and reforms, yet many of the fundamental structures and inequalities persist. Despite our advancements in philosophy, politics, and social sciences, we continue to grapple with recurring issues like poverty, war, and injustice. Could these recurring patterns be engineered to maintain a status quo, keeping us occupied with earthly matters and preventing us from looking beyond our planet? Our dependence on Earth's natural resources binds us to this planet. We rely on fossil fuels, minerals, water, and the delicate balance of our ecosystem. Even our most advanced space technologies are limited by these earthly dependencies. Is this a natural result of evolution, or could it be a designed constraint to keep us tethered to Earth? Our own minds might be our greatest constraint. Fear of the unknown, skepticism towards new ideas, conflicts between science and faith. All these psychological factors can limit our pursuit of knowledge and understanding. This mental confinement might be a deliberate aspect of our supposed prison, ensuring we don't break free from our established paradigms. If these constraints are indeed part of a grand design, who or what is responsible? Alien overseers with advanced technologies could subtly manipulate our progress. Alternatively, cosmic laws or forces beyond our understanding might naturally enforce these limitations. The idea that Earth might be a prison for humanity isn't a purely modern concept. Throughout history, various myths, legends, and religious texts have alluded to ideas that resonate with this hypothesis. These ancient narratives, spread across different cultures and epochs, might hold hidden clues that lend credence to the theory that our world is a containment facility overseen by otherworldly beings. In ancient Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki were a group of deities who were said to have created and controlled humanity. Some interpretations of these texts suggest that the Anunnaki might have used humans for labor, creating a system that restricted human freedom and kept them confined to specific roles and locations. Greek mythology tells the tale of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity. His punishment, being chained to a rock, could be seen as a symbolic representation of humanity's confinement to Earth, restricted by greater cosmic forces. In Hindu mythology, Lord Shiva performs the cosmic dance that controls the universe's destruction and creation. This cyclical nature of existence, where destruction leads to rebirth, might symbolize the perpetual constraints that keep humanity confined within specific bounds, unable to escape a predefined cycle. Many Native American tribes speak of Spider-Woman who wove the web of existence. This web could be seen as a metaphor for the interconnected but restricted reality that humans find themselves in, with the strands representing the unseen barriers that keep us in place. Even in contemporary times, stories of UFO sightings and alien abductions often contain themes of control, manipulation, and containment. These modern myths might reflect a subconscious awareness of our confinement, expressed through the lens of science fiction and popular culture. The recurring theme of confinement, control, and restriction across various myths and legends worldwide might be more than mere coincidence. These stories could be echoes of a profound truth hidden in our collective unconscious, pointing towards our existence within a controlled and confined space. The Fermi paradox presents one of the most intriguing questions in the field of astrobiology. With an estimated 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe, each containing billions of stars and even more planets, why haven't we detected any signs of extraterrestrial intelligence? Could this apparent silence in the cosmos be related to the idea that Earth is an alien prison, and if so, how? One explanation for this paradox is the concept of the Great Filter, a hypothetical barrier that prevents civilizations from reaching a certain level of technological advancement. Could this barrier be part of a containment strategy to isolate intelligent species, including humans, from each other? Another intriguing explanation is the zoo hypothesis, suggesting that extraterrestrial civilizations are deliberately avoiding contact with us. This could align with the Earth as a prison theory, where alien overseers maintain our isolation to prevent us from interfering with other parts of the cosmic prison system. The possibility that advanced civilizations inevitably self-destruct before reaching a level of technological maturity to explore the cosmos is a somber explanation for the Fermi paradox. If Earth is a prison, this self-destruction could be a designed outcome, ensuring that inmates never advance enough to escape or pose a threat. Our inability to detect extraterrestrial signals might also be a matter of technology. If alien civilizations use advanced communication methods beyond our comprehension, we wouldn't be able to detect them. In the context of the prison hypothesis, this could be a security measure to keep the communication of the jailers beyond the understanding of the prisoners. Some proponents of the Earth as a prison theory take the argument a step further by suggesting that the entire observable universe is designed in such a way to make us believe we are alone. This crafted illusion could be part of a complex containment strategy, reinforcing our isolation. Imagine a world where, instead of traditional prisons, governments collectively decide to establish a prison planet, a designated place in the vastness of space solely for the purpose of containing and managing the global criminal population. The concept, while sounding like a plot from a science fiction novel, raises significant questions about ethics, feasibility, and logistics. The idea of a prison planet isn't new. It has been a recurring theme in science fiction, from movies like Escape from New York to novels like The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. But could such a concept ever move from fiction to reality? The idea of establishing a prison planet is fraught with immense technological and logistical challenges. Firstly, identifying a suitable location within our solar system is crucial. Options could include the Moon or Mars, but both present daunting obstacles. For instance, Mars's atmosphere is thin, its surface barren and cold, posing significant challenges for sustaining human life. The Moon, closer to Earth, has no atmosphere and experiences extreme temperature fluctuations. Transportation to the prison planet is another major hurdle. Current rocket technology is expensive and limited in capacity, making the transportation of large numbers of people and the necessary supplies a monumental task. The spacecraft would need to be highly reliable and capable of carrying life support systems, food, water, and other essentials for extended periods. Creating a habitable environment on another celestial body is another significant challenge. It would require advanced technologies for air purification, water recycling, waste disposal, and food production. Given the harsh conditions, creating a self-sustaining ecosystem that can support human life is a task that currently lies beyond our existing capabilities. Safety measures for both prisoners and staff would be paramount, considering the hostile environment and the potential for conflict. This would necessitate sophisticated security systems, possibly involving AI surveillance and automated systems to handle dangerous situations. The concept of a prison planet brings forth a series of intricate and unprecedented logistical challenges, particularly in the arrival and departure protocols of prisoners. The functionality of this system would depend heavily on advanced space travel technology, precision logistics, and stringent security measures. Upon sentencing to the prison planet, prisoners would first undergo a thorough security and health check at a secure spaceport facility on Earth. This facility would likely be a high-security area, heavily guarded and equipped with advanced technology to prevent any escape attempts. The prisoners would then be transferred to a spacecraft designed specifically for this purpose. These spacecraft would resemble maximum security facilities in space, with compartments designed to securely and humanely hold prisoners for the duration of the journey. The journey to the prison planet could take several months, depending on the location of the planet within our solar system. During this time, prisoners would be under constant surveillance. The spacecraft would be equipped with life support systems, medical facilities, and provisions to sustain life for the duration of the journey. Upon arrival, prisoners would be processed through a secure docking station. They would be tagged with advanced tracking devices, ensuring their movements could be monitored at all times. This process would also include a detailed briefing about the rules, regulations, and the overall environment of the prison planet. Departures from the prison planet would be less frequent and would occur under specific circumstances such as completion of a sentence, necessary legal proceedings on Earth, or severe medical conditions requiring specialized treatment unavailable on the planet. The departure process would involve a reverse of the arrival protocols, with prisoners being securely transported back to the spacecraft. Before leaving the prison planet, each individual would undergo a strict security screening to ensure no prohibited materials are taken off planet. They would also go through a decontamination process to prevent any potential contamination of Earth's environment with extraterrestrial material. One theory suggests the use of cryogenic technology for transporting prisoners. In this scenario, prisoners would be placed in a state of suspended animation for the journey, significantly reducing the resources needed for life support systems. Another consideration is the psychological impact of such a journey and new life on another planet. The departure from Earth, potentially forever, could have profound effects on a prisoner's mental health. Counseling and psychological support might be a critical component of the arrival and departure processes. Additionally, the use of autonomous AI-controlled spacecraft could be a key feature in the logistics of transporting prisoners. These AI systems would be designed to handle navigation, life support, and security, reducing the need for human guards on the spacecraft. The notion of a prison planet naturally lends itself to a myriad of conspiracy theories and speculations. Some theorists might suggest that such a plan could be part of a covert global population control scheme, or a means to exile dissenters and undesirables. Others could speculate that the prison planet might be used for unethical experiments, taking advantage of the isolated environment to conduct research that would be unacceptable or illegal on Earth. There might be theories about the use of prisoners as forced labor to mine valuable resources from other planets or moons. Moreover, the concept could give rise to concerns about the creation of a segregated society, where the rules of Earth do not apply, leading to potential human rights abuses and a breakdown of ethical standards. The management and governance of a prison planet present a complex and multifaceted challenge. In envisioning such a place, one must consider not just the physical and logistical aspects, but also the social and ethical dimensions of governing a population in such an extreme and isolated environment. A potential model for governance could involve a dual system, where certain aspects are managed by Earth-based authorities, while day-to-day operations are handled locally on the planet. The Earth-based governance would likely involve an international body responsible for overarching policies, legal matters, and resource allocation. This body would ensure that the prison planet adheres to agreed-upon human rights standards and rehabilitation goals. Locally, the prison planet could have its administration, possibly made up of trained personnel who live on the planet for fixed terms. This administration would be responsible for maintaining order, managing resources, and ensuring the welfare of the inmates. They would oversee sectors such as health services, food distribution, and vocational training programs. The concept of self-governance among prisoners is an intriguing aspect. It raises the question of whether inmates could participate in their governance, contributing to a sense of responsibility and community. This could be facilitated through elected representatives or councils, allowing prisoners to have a say in the day-to-day management of their society. However, this raises significant security concerns and questions about the feasibility of maintaining order and preventing abuse of power. While it may seem that the isolation of a prison planet negates the need for traditional security measures, several factors must be considered. The vastness and harshness of an alien environment could indeed act as a natural barrier to escape. However, internal security would still be crucial to prevent violence, unrest, and anarchy. Advanced surveillance systems, AI monitoring, and a contingent of security personnel might be necessary to maintain order and enforce regulations. Some theories suggest that a prison planet could pioneer new forms of social organization and rehabilitation. The extreme environment and unique circumstances could foster innovative approaches to criminal justice and rehabilitation, potentially providing insights that could be applied back on Earth. In summary, the management and governance of a prison planet would require a delicate balance between security, human rights, rehabilitation, and practicality. While such a concept is currently in the realm of science fiction, it poses interesting questions about the future of criminal justice, societal structures, and the ethical treatment of individuals in extreme and isolated environments. Given the complexities and ethical concerns surrounding a prison planet, exploring alternatives is essential. One such alternative could be the development of more advanced, secure, and humane prison systems on Earth. These could incorporate virtual reality environments for rehabilitation, providing simulated scenarios that help prisoners develop social skills and empathy. Another alternative could be the increased use of remote AI-monitored confinement facilities. These facilities could use advanced surveillance and monitoring technologies to keep track of inmates in less restrictive environments than traditional prisons, focusing on rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Research into the psychological and social factors that lead to criminal behavior could also be intensified, with the aim of reducing crime through social initiatives, education, and mental health support. In the realm of science fiction, one could imagine the development of prison asteroids, small celestial bodies outfitted with self-contained prison environments. These would be closer to Earth and potentially more feasible than a full-fledged prison planet. What if the next frontier for imprisonment wasn't just a maximum security facility somewhere in the remote mountains, but far beyond our Earth, in the vastness of space? Today we are delving into, what if humans made a secret prison in space? We'll explore the utopian society that could necessitate it, the practicality of human versus cryogenic incarceration, and ponder over the eternal debate. Should this high-security fortress in the cosmos be manned by human guards or be completely automated? So what do we mean by a utopian society? In this hypothetical future, we've seen extraordinary advances in science, education, and technology that create a positive feedback loop with societal structures. People are more educated, which leads to better decision-making and a stronger social fabric. That, in turn, reduces crime because an educated populace tends to be a more ethical populace. Crime is basically a social construct, right? It emerges in contexts where there are significant disparities in resources, education, or social justice. Address these core issues, and crime rates plummet. Imagine technology so advanced that it could intervene before a crime happens. Not in a creepy surveillance state way, but more in the vein of identifying societal stressors and neutralizing them. Perhaps emotional and mental well-being could be so well understood that preemptive care becomes the norm. The utopian society of this scenario doesn't just throw money and tech at problems, it's also philosophically and ethically advanced. The value systems, moral codes, and even religions have likely evolved to be more inclusive, more forgiving, and less dogmatic. This is a society that understands the complexities of human behavior and deals with them in a sophisticated manner. But here's where things get a bit paradoxical. If you've managed to cultivate such a perfectly trust-based society, the very existence of a prison system would disrupt that trust, even if there is only a minuscule percentage of people who commit crimes. The notion that there is a place where people are forcibly confined could cast a shadow over the utopian dream. So what's the solution? Perhaps the answer lies not on Earth, but beyond it. And that's where the idea of a secret space prison comes in. But more on that later. The utopia hypothesis challenges us to consider how far we are willing to go to achieve a perfect society, and what sacrifices, ethical or otherwise, we are prepared to make. It also prompts us to think critically about whether a utopian society is even attainable, or whether it's a no place, an ideal that can guide us but never be fully realized. Fascinating, isn't it? But let's not stop there. What happens to those who simply don't fit into this idyllic world? Let's find out. All right, let's dive right in. If we've hypothetically crafted this near-perfect society on Earth, one that has effectively eradicated most forms of crime and social discord, why would we even need a prison? Well, here's where things get particularly interesting. Even in a utopian society, one of the great constants is human variability. Not everyone's neural circuits are wired the same way. And while most may adapt to a system of ethical and social norms, some might not. Think of it like a Gaussian distribution, or what you might recognize as a bell curve. In any large population, there will be outliers, individuals who, for a myriad of reasons, do not conform to societal norms. What do we do with these outliers in a society that is fundamentally based on trust and ethical consistency? Sending them to a conventional prison on Earth could challenge the foundational ideas of the utopia. It introduces an element of coercion and force that is contradictory to the society's principles. The very idea that you could be imprisoned could create an underlying tension, a ripple in the calm waters of the utopian dream. So, why not take the prison out of the equation, or rather, out of Earth's gravitational pull? Welcome to the concept of a space prison. By placing the prison in space, you're removing the physicality of the problem from the Earth, and perhaps symbolically you're also keeping the purity of the utopian dream intact. In this scenario, Earth remains a sanctuary of enlightened human cooperation, while the inevitable outliers are placed far from its surface. Now, you might argue that launching people into space is, well, astronomically expensive. Yes, but in a society that has advanced to this level, it's possible that space travel has also been revolutionized. Maybe it's as routine as catching a flight from New York to London. Or maybe the resource allocation is so efficient that society can easily afford it. And let's talk about oversight. Who watches the watchmen? Especially when the watchmen are light years away, it's a complex ethical and logistical question. Would the space prison be entirely automated? Would it be governed by a subset of Earth's laws? Or would it have its own set of rules adapted for the unique situation? You see, the idea of a space prison isn't just about the how, but also the why. It's an exploration into the outer reaches of human ethics and governance. How do you balance justice and freedom? How do you reconcile the inevitable imperfections within a nearly perfect society? So you're probably wondering, would these space-bound individuals be kept frozen? Or would they be conscious? And who or what would manage such a prison? Well, let's get into that. Yes, the age-old debate of the science fiction world has now, in our hypothetical scenario, become a pressing ethical and logistical question. Should the inmates of our space prison be awake, living out their sentences, or should they be frozen in a state of cryogenic suspension? It sounds like something out of a dystopian novel, but bear with me here. First, let's tackle the idea of human incarceration. Now, if we're sending humans to live in a prison in space, the cost of sustaining life becomes an important factor. We're talking about life support systems, food, water, and waste management. In the vacuum of space, every ounce of oxygen counts. Then there's the issue of mental health. Imagine being confined not just within walls, but within the limits of a spacecraft, far away from Earth. That's social isolation to an extreme level. Would our society, as advanced as it is, be okay with this form of psychological toll? And what about rebellion? If the prison were to have human guards, there's always the chance of a mutiny. Even automated systems could potentially be overridden. It's a risk factor that can't be completely eradicated, so long as the prisoners are conscious and capable of action. Now let's consider cryogenic incarceration. On the surface, it seems like an ideal solution. Freezing an individual in a state of suspended animation could significantly reduce the resource cost. No need for food, water, or even oxygen in the traditional sense. A fully automated system could monitor the inmates, reducing the need for human oversight. This would also eliminate the risk of rebellion or escape attempts, assuming, of course, that the cryogenic process is foolproof. However, freezing a human for an extended period brings its own set of ethical dilemmas. What if the technology fails and the person never wakes up? Is that ethical? Furthermore, what happens when they are eventually unfrozen? If our society has advanced, will they be able to reintegrate? Or will they be a person out of time, struggling to catch up with the world that has long since moved on without them? It also begs the question of the purpose of incarceration. Is it punitive, rehabilitative, or purely segregative? If it's punitive or rehabilitative, cryogenic freezing might not achieve that goal, as the individual is essentially paused rather than experiencing a sentence. Each option, human versus cryogenic incarceration, has its own set of pros and cons, both logistical and ethical. And this is where the concept of a space prison gets tangled in a web of moral and practical complexities. So now that we've considered why a space prison might be necessary and how it might function, who or what would be in charge of this off-world facility? Let's dig deeper into that. And now we arrive at an important fork in the road. Should this space prison of the future be manned by human guards, or should it be completely automated? It's a question that pulls at the boundaries between human intuition and machine efficiency. This is not just a logistical issue, but also one that touches on ethics, psychology, and even the philosophy of what constitutes justice and humane treatment. Let's begin with human guards. The first advantage is experience. Human guards can make judgment calls based on a wide range of emotional and environmental factors that current technology can't perceive. If a fight breaks out between inmates, or if someone appears to be in distress, a human guard can use intuition and situational awareness to make complex decisions. Plus, the human touch, as it were, might make incarceration a less dehumanizing experience, potentially aiding in the rehabilitation process. However, humans are fallible. They can be biased, they can make mistakes, and they themselves would be isolated from Earth. creating a potential risk for mental health issues. They also require all the life-sustaining resources we discussed earlier: food, water, oxygen, and so on. Plus, in the isolation and potential monotony of space, the temptation for corruption or negligence might increase. So what about complete automation? Imagine a prison overseen by an AI warden and maintained by robotic guards. These machines would not need life support, they wouldn't get tired, bored, or corrupt, and they could potentially manage resources more efficiently. With advances in machine learning, an AI could adapt to the needs of the prison, even predicting conflicts before they happen based on inmate behavior data. Sounds ideal? Well, not so fast. Automating a prison system takes the human element out of a very human-centric process: justice. Machines do not have a moral compass, and even the most advanced AI is not conscious and therefore cannot make ethical judgments. There's also the concern about malfunctions or hacking. Imagine a rogue agent taking control of the entire prison system and its robotic guards. The consequences could be disastrous. Another factor to consider is the justice system itself. An automated prison might streamline the sentencing process, possibly making it more rigid and less prone to human error or bias. But is justice that's 100% by the book always the most fair or ethical? In the balance between human and machine, the debate over who should oversee a space prison is as complex as it is fascinating. Each option opens a Pandora's box of logistical challenges and ethical quandaries. So, we've explored the idea of a space prison, considered why it might be necessary, how we might keep inmates either awake or frozen, and who might guard this high-tech Alcatraz in the sky. But now let's ask ourselves, could society accept the ethical burden of such a place? Today, we're taking a deep dive into a futuristic world of punishment, one that's only existed within the bounds of creative cinema until now. Imagine a world where prisons aren't just about bars, guards, and isolation cells. What if instead they existed on floating ships, within our dreams, or even on distant planets? In this exploration, we will delve into the thrilling yet ethically challenging concept of future prisons, inspired by cinematic masterpieces such as Escape Plan, Minority Report, Inception, and more. From the chilling isolation of a cryogenic cell to the boundless, intangible prison of the mind, we're going to unravel what the future of incarceration could look like. Alright, let's dive into the concept of floating prisons as depicted in the movie Escape Plan. The prison, known as the Tomb, is housed within an enormous ship, hidden from the world and ever on the move. It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? The idea that we could create a prison that is always shifting location, traversing international waters, making it not only a tough place to escape from, but also a hard place to locate. Imagine the mechanics of it. An advanced navigation system ensuring that the prison remains in international waters, away from jurisdictions, always on the move to deter escape plans. Prisoners wouldn't just need to worry about breaching walls or fences, but they would need to consider survival in open waters, contend with currents, and reckon with vast distances to any shore. It would be a prison escape turned survivalist expedition, daunting to say the least. Furthermore, the structure of the prison could be designed for rapid response, with sections that can be sealed off in case of a riot or an escape attempt. This kind of advanced section design would make it even harder for prisoners to navigate their way out, especially when paired with high-tech surveillance and security systems. But the questions this concept raises go beyond the logistical. What about the human rights of prisoners in such a facility? The psychological effects of confinement in a place constantly adrift, the challenges of regulation and oversight when the prison is not bound by the usual geographical and jurisdictional constraints, these would all need to be addressed. It is an intriguing thought experiment. Would a seaborne prison be the ultimate answer to escape-proof confinement? Or would it rather open a Pandora's box of legal, ethical, and humanitarian issues? Escape Plan presents a provocative vision of a possible future, but it is one that we would need to navigate with extreme care. So now let's take a look at the idea of a virtual prison, a concept depicted in the movie Minority Report. In this film, a sophisticated system known as pre-crime can predict crimes before they happen, and the so-called criminals are put into a dreamlike state for their sentence. But this isn't a pleasant dream. It's a psychological limbo that seems to stretch on endlessly. The technology used in the film, a neural interface, directly interacts with the prisoner's brain. creating a state of suspended animation while life outside continues. This virtual prison could, in theory, allow society to manage convicts without the need for physical prisons or resources. The individuals serving their sentences would be kept alive, but not conscious or capable of causing harm. But then the ethics of this form of punishment become murkier the deeper you delve. Yes, it's efficient. But is it humane? Although the prisoners in Minority Report are not aware of the passing of time, they're trapped within their own minds in a state that is eerily close to a coma. Is it right to put a person into such a state, essentially erasing their existence from the world for the duration of their sentence? Also, it opens the door for misuse of power. The entire justice system hinges on the assumption that the pre-crime predictions are accurate. But what if they're not? A person could be wrongfully imprisoned based on a crime they haven't committed yet. This concept brings forth a multitude of ethical and moral questions that society would need to answer before such a method could even be considered. Virtual prisons, as imagined in Minority Report, present a stark vision of a possible future where justice is as much a product of our technological capabilities as it is a concept of moral right and wrong. From virtual prisons, we now dive into another concept that has captured the imagination of many science fiction enthusiasts: cryo prisons. The movie Demolition Man explores this futuristic idea. Picture this. Instead of serving time in a conventional prison, criminals are frozen for the duration of their sentence. Let's dive into that chilly prospect. The concept, in theory, seems almost elegant in its simplicity. Cryo prisons would preserve the prisoner in a state of suspended animation, their biological functions slow to an absolute crawl, placing them in a deep freeze. During this time, they neither age nor are they conscious, essentially placing them in a time-out from society until their sentence is complete. But how plausible is this really? Cryogenics is an existing field of study, but its current applications are far from the science fiction world of Demolition Man. At this point in time, we are able to cryogenically preserve individual cells and small tissues, but a whole human being? That's a different story entirely. Current science can't successfully freeze and thaw a human without causing serious cellular damage, particularly from ice crystals that form and can puncture cells. But let's say, hypothetically in the future, we do overcome these hurdles. A new host of ethical considerations then come into play. If the frozen person is not conscious, are they serving a sentence or just waiting it out? What happens to their mind while their body is frozen? In Demolition Man, prisoners are subjected to subconscious rehabilitation programming to reform them. But would this be ethical? Could it even work? And then there's the social impact to consider. Releasing a prisoner who hasn't aged a day into a world that's moved on without them could be a recipe for societal disruption and personal disorientation. Cryo-prisons, like the one shown in Demolition Man, are a fascinating thought experiment, pushing the boundaries of our current understanding of both science and ethics in criminal justice. Digital prisons. If you're a fan of thought-provoking and often disturbing television, you might be familiar with Black Mirror. In one particularly memorable episode, White Christmas, the show introduces a concept of a digital prison that traps a copy of a person's consciousness, not their physical body. Digital prisons could work like this. A perfect copy of a prisoner's consciousness, known as a cookie in the show, is extracted and placed in a virtual prison environment. This simulation is controlled to the minutest detail, including the flow of time. This means that a prisoner could serve years, even centuries in this virtual hell, while only seconds pass in the real world. The concept on the surface is chillingly efficient. It seems like a way to completely neutralize threats without the costs and complications of physical incarceration. But when we dig deeper, things get complicated and ethically murky. For starters, the technology to create an exact copy of a person's consciousness doesn't currently exist. It's all purely speculative. Our understanding of consciousness and how it originates from the brain is still in its infancy. But for the sake of argument, let's imagine such a technology is developed. The implications are staggering and deeply troubling. Imagine being sentenced to hundreds of years of solitary confinement in mere moments. It's a psychological torture beyond what we can comprehend. In the Black Mirror episode, a prisoner is left alone in a cabin, isolated and tormented for what seems to him like thousands of years, while only a few seconds pass outside. It's a horrifying form of punishment, almost medieval in its cruelty, and raises serious questions about human rights and the principle of proportional punishment. And then there's the question of whether punishing a copy of a person's consciousness equates to punishing the person themselves. If the real person is free in the physical world, while their cookie suffers, who are we really punishing? Like many Black Mirror episodes, the concept of digital prisons poses unsettling questions about technology, punishment, and our sense of self. It forces us to grapple with what it means to be human in a world where our very consciousness might be replicated and manipulated. Diving into the realm of cosmic punishment, our next stop takes us into the far reaches of the galaxy. If you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you may be familiar with the Kiln from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a high-security prison situated on a desolate planet, housing some of the universe's most dangerous criminals. The idea of off-planet incarceration is a fascinating one, so let's go ahead and see what it would entail. Imagine a prison not limited by earthly concerns, one where there's virtually unlimited room for expansion, and the security is provided by the inhospitable environment of outer space itself. Sounds like the perfect solution to crime, right? But just as we have seen with other concepts, the devil is in the details. First, the costs and logistical challenges of setting up and maintaining a prison in space are astronomical, quite literally. You'd need to transport prisoners there, provide life-sustaining resources like air and food, deal with waste management, and more. Currently, it costs around $10,000 to put a pound of anything into orbit. Sending a human, let alone thousands of them, plus all the necessary equipment and supplies to another planet, would be a colossal financial undertaking. Moreover, we must consider the isolation factor. A prison planet like the Kiln would be virtually impossible to escape from, but it would also be far removed from any chance of rehabilitation or reintegration into society. What happens when a sentence is over? How does one reintegrate into society when they've been light years away from it? Not to mention the psychological toll of being imprisoned on another planet, cut off from everything and everyone you know, could be incredibly damaging. The feeling of being removed from society can exacerbate feelings of hopelessness and desperation, leading to even more psychological problems. And just like with cryo prisons, there's the ethical and human rights considerations. Is it humane to send a person to a prison planet, isolated and possibly doomed to live out their sentence in solitude or alongside the worst criminals in the galaxy? Like the other futuristic prison concepts, the idea of a prison planet challenges our assumptions about crime, punishment, and human rights. It's a thought-provoking concept that opens the door to a universe of possibilities and potential nightmares. Continuing our journey through the landscapes of cinematic justice, let's now delve into a realm where the boundaries between reality and dreams are blurred, a prison of the mind. For this, we'll turn to Christopher Nolan's mind-bending masterpiece, Inception. In Inception, we explore the concept of dream-sharing technology, where individuals can infiltrate others' dreams and implant or steal ideas. Now imagine applying that technology to the prison system. Rather than physical bars and guards, the prisoner's mind itself becomes the confinement. They are trapped within their own dreams, their consciousness serving as both the prisoner and the jailer. One possible scenario could involve prisoners living in a dream state where they experience a normal, peaceful life. By contrast, they could also face an endless series of nightmares as part of their punishment. In either case, the prisoner's physical body would be in a state of suspended animation, perhaps even safely stored away. The advantage of this prison system would be the reduction of physical resources required to sustain prisoners, as well as the potential for rehabilitation. The dream state could be designed to teach prisoners empathy, social skills, or other important life lessons, preparing them for eventual release. However, like all the other concepts we've discussed, this one is also riddled with ethical dilemmas and practical issues. If the prisoners are trapped within their dreams, how do we ensure they are receiving proper physical care? More importantly, what are the psychological implications of trapping a person within their mind? The concept of mental health is also crucial here. In a dream prison, an individual's psychological state becomes their reality. For someone with mental health issues, this could be a terrifying ordeal, exacerbating existing conditions or creating new ones. Furthermore, what would be the long-term effects on a person's psyche after living years or decades in a dream state? Would they be able to distinguish reality from the dream once released? And on a philosophical level, is it ethical to alter a person's reality to such an extent, even as a form of punishment? The concept of a prison of the mind takes the discussion of future incarceration methods into the realm of the abstract, pushing the boundaries of how we understand punishment, reality, and the human mind. Prisons. We think of them as a modern institution, a way of punishing those who break society's rules. But did you know our ancestors also had their versions of incarceration? From Rome to Persia, from England to ancient Maya, history is filled with examples of humanity's attempts to deter and punish crime. But these weren't prisons as we know them. Let's take a journey back in time to some of the most brutal and fascinating prisons in history. How did they treat their inmates? What weird and fearsome rituals did they perform? Buckle up, because we're about to delve deep into humanity's past to uncover the dark underbelly of ancient societies. The heart of ancient Rome gives us our first destination, the dreaded Mamertine prison. This centuries-old edifice, steeped in tales of brutality, provides a gruesome glimpse into how the mighty Roman Empire dealt with its enemies. You see, the Romans were no strangers to discipline, order, and yes, punishment. One thing that stands out about the Mamertine prison is its structure, or rather, lack thereof. This wasn't a prison with bars, cells, and guards. Instead, it was more like a dark, dank pit, hollowed out directly from the Earth's crust. It was located at the base of Capitoline Hill, primarily underground, and was more of a dungeon than a prison as we know it. It was said to have two gloomy, damp chambers, one atop the other. Prisoners were first placed in the upper chamber, known as the Tullianum. This chamber was around 12 feet high and 30 feet wide and deep, and could accommodate a considerable number of prisoners. However, the place was a far cry from comfort. It had a single opening at the top through which prisoners were lowered into the darkness using a rope or a chain. But the real horror was the lower chamber. This was where prisoners who were sentenced to die were sent. In stark contrast to the Tullianum, this room was smaller, darker, and suffocatingly close, known for its inhumane conditions. Historical records, some as old as 22 centuries, suggest that the Mamertine prison was often used to contain high-profile prisoners, enemies of the state. One notable inmate was said to be Saint Peter, one of the disciples of Jesus Christ, who was allegedly incarcerated here before his execution. But it was not just the physical torment that made the Mamertine prison infamous. The psychological terror of being in such a place, the oppressive darkness, the dreadful anticipation of passing, and the agonizing wait for execution. These were perhaps even more tormenting than the actual physical conditions of the prison. Indeed, the Mamertine prison serves as a chilling reminder of Rome's darker side, a testament to the empire's harsh, often brutal system of justice. Let's travel further east to the ancient city of Xanthos, located in what is now modern-day Turkey but was then part of the Persian Empire. Here, the prison was not a building or even a complex, but a singular, macabre artifact, the wooden horse of Xanthos. This wooden contraption, known in ancient texts as the horse, was a chilling form of both punishment and imprisonment, showcasing the truly inventive, if not horrific, forms of incarceration in the ancient world. Designed with a hollow interior, the horse served as a grotesque echo of the famous Trojan horse. However, this was not a vessel of soldiers, but a container for pain and suffering. Prisoners were placed within the horse, their bodies contorted to fit the cramped interior. Once inside, they were at the mercy of the elements, with the scorching sun during the day and freezing cold at night. But the horror of the wooden horse did not stop there. It was raised high above the ground, meaning that once a prisoner was inside, escape was nearly impossible. The public humiliation, the physical discomfort, and the psychological torture of being trapped within this wooden monstrosity all contributed to making the horse a truly terrifying form of punishment. Moreover, the wooden horse was not used for long-term incarceration. Instead, it was an end-of-life sentence. Prisoners placed inside the horse rarely survived the ordeal, as the grueling conditions led to exhaustion, dehydration, and eventually their untimely passing. The wooden horse of Xanthos serves as a chilling reminder of the inventive and brutal forms of punishment humanity can devise. Journeying a bit northwards, we find ourselves in the heart of London, England. It is here that one of the oldest and most notorious prisons of ancient Europe stood, the Bridewell prison. Established in the 16th century, the Bridewell was initially intended as a palace for Henry V. However, its destiny was to become something far more sinister, transforming into a house of correction. A penitentiary for the city's beggars, vagrants, and petty criminals. The building was impressive, boasting over 100 rooms and a grand courtyard, but the grandeur of the palace was a stark contrast to the harsh reality of life within its walls. Inside the Bridewell, prisoners endured a unique form of correction, one that focused on reformation over punishment. Inmates of Bridewell were made to work. Hard labor was seen as a tool of reformation, a method to correct their idle ways. The work was grueling. Women were often employed in beating hemp for making rope, while men were put to work on physically demanding tasks. All this under the stern and watchful eyes of the prison staff. Yet what truly made Bridewell infamous was the severity of its punishments. These were not just physical, but also public. Whipping, for instance, was a common form of punishment, typically administered at the whipping post for everyone to see. This served a dual purpose. It was a form of correction for the prisoners, but it also served as a deterrent for the onlookers, a chilling demonstration of what awaited those who stepped out of line. But life in Bridewell wasn't just about work and punishment. It also served as a refuge for the homeless and the destitute. Yes, it was a prison, but in a time when social services were virtually non-existent, it also provided shelter and a form of social security for those who had nowhere else to go. The Bridewell prison, despite its brutal reputation, provides an intriguing glimpse into the early evolution of the modern penal system. It was here that the concept of reformation through labor was first put into practice, a notion that, for better or worse, has been a mainstay of prisons around the world ever since. But let's not forget the Americas. Shifting our gaze across the Atlantic, we find ourselves in the heart of the ancient Mayan civilization, renowned for their advanced mathematics, calendar systems, and of course their brutal penal codes. Notably, we have the infamous prison of Kitala, a true testament to the harsh and fearsome world of Mayan justice. Kitala wasn't just a prison, it was an arena of punishment designed to inflict maximum suffering and disgrace. The very architecture of the prison was designed to reflect this. Deep pits, known as chultuns, were carved directly into the limestone bedrock, creating vertical prison cells from which there was no escape. But what makes Kitala so chilling is not just its physical form, but also its psychological and spiritual dimensions. The Mayans held a deep respect for the earth and believed that being buried alive was one of the worst punishments imaginable. In this light, the chultuns of Kitala represented not just a physical incarceration, but a spiritual defilement. Conditions in Kitala were harsh, even by ancient standards. Prisoners were subjected to physical and psychological torture. They were deprived of food and water, left to endure the sweltering heat, and tormented by the knowledge of their impending doom. There's also a grim irony to Kitala's purpose. The Mayans used chultuns as a method of water storage during the dry season, essential for their survival. Yet these same life-giving structures were also used as a tool of torment, a stark reminder of the dual nature of human innovation. The chilling echo of Kitala still resonates today. It's a stark reminder of the brutality of the ancient world. And here's something you might not have expected. Ancient Egypt, a civilization that has fascinated us for millennia, has left behind traces of an infamous detention system in Elephantine Island. This is a place where prisoners were not just physically confined, but also psychologically tortured. Elephantine Island, located in the Nile, was the site of a unique prison system in ancient Egypt. Its isolation made it an ideal place for incarceration. Prisoners were ferried to the island and left there, isolated from society and surrounded by the unforgiving Nile. But the imprisonment didn't just involve physical isolation. Ancient Egyptian society was deeply spiritual, with a profound belief in the afterlife. They believed that in order to reach the afterlife, a person's body had to be preserved, and so mummification was common practice. Here comes the chilling part. To instill fear and punishment, it's said that the prison guards on Elephantine Island would threaten to throw the bodies of dead prisoners into the Nile. The idea of their bodies being lost and destroyed, denying them access to the afterlife, was a terrifying prospect for these ancient people, making their imprisonment not just a physical but a deeply spiritual punishment. Records of Elephantine Island also suggest harsh living conditions. The prisoners were put to hard labor, forced to quarry stone and load boats under the scorching Egyptian sun. Food and water were scarce, and the hot, dry air made life incredibly difficult. So there we have it, a journey into the brutal realities of ancient incarceration. From the suffocating Mamertine prison to the psychologically terrifying Elephantine Island prison, we've seen how prisons were not just physical institutions, but psychological ones as well. These harrowing tales of punishment and survival give us a fresh perspective on the societies that we so often romanticize. As much as we marvel at the architectural splendors of Rome, the scientific wonders of Persia, the cultural richness of England, and the spiritual depth of the Maya and Egyptians, we should remember that these civilizations, like ours, had a darker side. In our quest to understand the universe, one of the most captivating questions has always been, are we alone? The search for extraterrestrial life has expanded from science fiction to a serious scientific endeavor. Organizations like SETI, which stand for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, have been scanning the cosmos for signals that might indicate the presence of intelligent life beyond Earth. Using powerful telescopes and sophisticated algorithms, they sift through cosmic noise looking for patterns or anomalies that could suggest a non-natural, possibly alien origin. While no definitive evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence has been found yet, the vastness of the universe, with its billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars and potentially even more planets, suggests that the possibility of alien life is far from science fiction. Our quest for encountering alien life isn't confined to the distant reaches of the universe. It's happening right here, within the familiar confines of our own solar system. Mars, with its haunting landscapes and enigmatic past, stands as a key frontier in this search. The ongoing exploration of the Red Planet, primarily through rovers like Curiosity and Perseverance and orbiters circling above, is driven by the tantalizing possibility that life once existed there. The discovery of water in the form of ice caps and signs of ancient rivers and lakes has fueled this speculation. Mars's Gale crater, now a dry, barren basin, is believed to have once held a lake, suggesting that the conditions could have supported microbial life billions of years ago. The intrigue deepens with the findings of complex organic molecules and the seasonal variation of methane in the Martian atmosphere, both potential indicators of life. Methane is significant because on Earth, a large proportion of it is produced biologically. The Curiosity rover's methane detections, varying with the seasons, suggest a possible biological origin, although geologic processes can't be ruled out. Venturing beyond Mars, the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn emerge as promising sites in the search for extraterrestrial life. Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, has a surface of ice covering a vast ocean of liquid water. This subsurface ocean, potentially twice the volume of Earth's oceans, is a prime target in the search for life. The upcoming Europa Clipper mission is set to launch in the 2020s, aiming to investigate Europa's habitability, studying its ice shell and subsurface ocean, and searching for signs of current geological activity. Similarly, Saturn's moon Enceladus has intrigued scientists with its geysers, spewing water and organic compounds from its interior into space. The Cassini spacecraft, during its mission, sampled these plume emissions, finding evidence of hydrogen gas, a potential energy source for microbial life. Enceladus's subsurface ocean, like Europa's, could provide the conditions necessary for life, particularly around hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, similar to those found on Earth. Titan, another of Saturn's moons, presents a different kind of possibility. With its dense atmosphere and surface lakes and rivers of liquid methane and ethane, Titan is a world that could host exotic forms of life. Future missions to Titan, like the Dragonfly rotorcraft, aim to explore its diverse environments, studying prebiotic chemistry and searching for signs of life. The discovery of Oumuamua in 2017 marked a milestone in astronomical studies, igniting a global fascination with interstellar objects. As the first known visitor from another star system to pass through our solar system, Oumuamua presented a unique opportunity to observe and learn from an object that originated far beyond our own cosmic neighborhood. This elongated, cigar-shaped body, measuring about 800 meters in length, traveled at an incredible speed of 87.3 kilometers per second. indicating that it wasn't bound by the sun's gravity and thus was not a member of our solar system. Oumuamua's characteristics and behavior quickly became the subject of intense study and speculation. Astronomers noted its unusual acceleration as it passed by the sun, which was not typical for a regular comet or asteroid. One theory suggested that this acceleration could be due to the outgassing of material from its surface, causing a jet-like push. However, the lack of a visible comet tail puzzled researchers, leading to alternative hypotheses about its composition and structure. Perhaps the most intriguing speculation about Oumuamua came from a small but vocal segment of the scientific community, who proposed the possibility of it being an artificial object. The argument was based on its unusual shape and unexpected trajectory changes. Some even posited that it could be a probe sent by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. While this idea captured the public imagination, it remains a highly controversial and much debated topic among astronomers, with the majority favoring natural explanations. Oumuamua's visit opened the door to the study of interstellar objects, a field that promises to broaden our understanding of the universe. The study of such objects can offer insights into the composition and properties of distant star systems, and potentially even the building blocks of planets and the origins of life. In the modern era, the search for extraterrestrial life is being revolutionized by an unlikely ally. Artificial intelligence, AI's integration into the search for alien life is transforming how we explore the cosmos and analyze vast amounts of data. With the universe being incredibly vast and complex, AI provides an indispensable tool in sifting through cosmic information to detect signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. One of the primary ways AI is used in this search is through the analysis of signals from space. Projects like SETI have been gathering enormous amounts of data from radio telescopes, which scan the skies for signals that might indicate the presence of intelligent life. The challenge lies in distinguishing these potential signals from the cosmic background noise. Here, AI algorithms, particularly machine learning models, are trained to identify patterns and anomalies in the data that might elude human researchers. These patterns could be narrow bandwidth radio signals, which are not naturally produced, and thus could indicate a technologically advanced civilization. Moreover, AI is being employed to analyze light from distant stars and galaxies, looking for subtle changes that might suggest the presence of alien technology, such as Dyson spheres or large space structures. These technologies would alter the light in a detectable way, and AI algorithms are adept at picking up these minute changes from the data collected by telescopes. AI's role extends beyond signal detection. It's also being used to make exploratory decisions in robotic space missions. For instance, on Mars, rovers equipped with AI can autonomously decide which rocks or soil samples to analyze, maximizing the efficiency of the mission and increasing the chances of finding signs of past or present life. Another intriguing application of AI in the search for extraterrestrial life is in the simulation and modeling of extraterrestrial environments and ecosystems. AI can process complex biological and environmental data to simulate how life could evolve in different planetary conditions. This helps scientists understand what forms of life might exist in varied environments, shaping the search for life on planets and moons in our solar system and beyond. In addition, AI is aiding in the classification and study of exoplanets, planets outside our solar system. By analyzing data from telescopes like Kepler, AI algorithms can identify exoplanets from the vast amount of space data and categorize them based on their potential to harbor life. This not only speeds up the discovery process, but also helps prioritize planets for further study. In the realm of extraterrestrial life, conspiracy theories have long held a prominent place, captivating the public imagination with tales of UFO sightings and government cover-ups. These theories range from the intriguing to the outlandish, often fueled by a combination of unexplained sightings, classified government projects, and a pervasive sense of mystery surrounding the topic. One of the most enduring conspiracy theories relates to the infamous Roswell incident of 1947, where an unidentified object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. Initially reported as a flying disc, the US military later stated it was merely a weather balloon. However, this explanation has never fully quelled public speculation, with many believing it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft and that the government subsequently covered it up. The enduring fascination with Roswell has made it a touchstone of UFO conspiracy theories, prompting numerous books, documentaries, and even festivals. Another significant aspect of UFO conspiracy theories is the alleged existence of secret government projects to investigate unidentified flying objects and possibly reverse engineer alien technology. Projects like Blue Book, Grudge, and Sign, all real US Air Force investigations into UFOs, have been cited as evidence of serious military interest in the phenomenon. However, the extent and results of these projects have been the subject of much debate and speculation. The release of classified military footage showing unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, has added a new dimension to these theories. The footage, showing high-speed objects exhibiting flight characteristics beyond our current technology, has been officially released by the Pentagon, reigniting public interest and speculation about the nature of these objects. While some argue these UAP could be advanced, undisclosed military technology, others see them as potential evidence of extraterrestrial visits. Adding to the intrigue are accounts from military personnel and pilots who have encountered these phenomena, often describing objects that move with inexplicable speed and agility. These first-hand accounts lend a level of credibility to the discussion, prompting even skeptical observers to consider the possibility of an unknown advanced technology, whether terrestrial or extraterrestrial. It's important to note that while these conspiracy theories are compelling and raise important questions about transparency and unknown phenomena, they often lack conclusive evidence. The scientific community generally approaches these claims with skepticism, emphasizing the need for verifiable data and rigorous investigation. The gap between verified information and the unknown fuels these theories, leaving room for speculation and debate. And as always, we hope you enjoyed our video today. Thanks for watching.